हर दिशा हर द्वार पर हो वो दिवाली, हर दिशा हर द्वार पर हो वो दिवाली। प्यार का हम ऐसा सिलसिला चलाएं, प्यार का सिलसिला हम चलाएं। एक दिया दुआ का हम जलाएं, रोशनी से दिल का अंधियारा मिटाएं। दिया वो माटी का जो आंधियों से लड़ता है, तू दाता का दिया क्यों मुश्किलों से डरता है। दिया वो माटी का जो आंधियों से लड़ता है, तू दाता का दिया क्यों मुश्किलों से डरता है। ऐसे ख्यालों से जहां को जगमगाए, ओम शांति ओम शांति ओम शांति ओम शांति। ऐसे ख्यालों से जहां को जगमगाए, प्यार का हम ऐसा सिलसिला चलाएं, प्यार का सिलसिला हम चलाएं। एक दिया दुआ का हम जलाएं, रोशनी से दिल का अंधियारा मिटाएं। आंधियों से लड़ते दियों को बचा ले हम, उम्मीद के दियों को फिर से जला ले हम। आंधियों से लड़ते दियों को बचा ले हम।
Om Shanti, Sister Jayanti.
Om Shanti Arunaben. Nice to see you.
And Om Shanti to everyone. And today is World Environment Day. And we showed your video before we started, the one on the message that you gave for the World Environment Day. But just wanted to say one thing about the Murli that Sister Jayanti is revising, and that is, we know how much Dadi Janki's good wishes, love, good pure feelings helped all of us. And I was also witness to quite a few souls that were perhaps not happy, but then you saw how Dadi just continued to give them love. Not necessarily they came in front of her, but you know, she would just say to us also, just send them love, just send them good wishes. And either the soul would calm down or they would turn around. But there's definitely proof that these love and good wishes work. So thank you, Sister Jayanti, and let you start.
Thank you, and Om Shanti to everyone who's joined us. And today I won't go through the full Murli. I'll just pick up some points in which it triggered various memories and thoughts and feelings, and share all of those reflections with you. And so, of course, it was the new year, and every new year there would be a big gathering in Madhuban, and it would be very powerful and beautiful. And this is December 94, and some of you might perhaps have been present there. And I was asking myself, well, why does Baba focus so much on newness? And the thought that whatever is new is always very attractive. And so when things get old, you don't really want to carry on with them. You want something new. And yet, of course, we don't always apply it to ourselves. And so like today, Baba was saying that, yes, it's the new year, but it's the new age also. And what happens is that we think we're changing, and then suddenly the old sanskars, old nature pops up. And then Baba spoke a lot about that, and we'll pick up on that in just a few minutes. But that total love for new and the total disinterest in old, I think this is what Baba's really, really wanting to inspire in us, so that truly we're able to focus on nurturing the new that's coming up and turning our back to whatever old keeps popping up again and again. And so that was very, very important. And when Baba spoke about how beautiful everything new is in the golden age, Sato Pradhan, and in particular, Sato Pradhan nature, and nature behaving absolutely in order, not only beautiful, but following the system, the natural order of how things should be. So it created a very lovely image, a beautiful scene. But within that also, of course, can you see your new dresses? Open a big, big closet and you'll see lots of beautiful new dresses, and you can pick whichever one you choose. And you choose the one that's most attractive, the one that's sparkling. And what caught my attention, at this point, at the end of Kali Yuga, there's nobody who has a perfect face, a perfect form, and perfect body. Not just on the external level, but also on terms of health of the body and all the organs working together. And yet in Satyug, we will have that perfect face, perfect form, perfect organs, everything absolutely intact, and the incredible state of the human body, this instrument that we are blessed with. And I asked myself the question, how is it that people can imagine that just by random selection, we can come to this incredible composition of the human body with everything, absolutely everything in the right place, in the right way? It's incredible. It's the amazing gift of nature. And it's no way that a process of evolution through the thousands of years could have led to the creation of this body, which is so intricate in its design, just amazing how everything is linked up. You know, when a tailor makes a suit, a costume, you can see where the seams are, but just the way the body is made up, the skin, there's no seam anywhere. It's totally seamless. And I know there are various doctors online who join us every week from Bharat, but also from France and other places. So I'm sure you know more about the intricacies of the body than I do, but no way that it could just have come about at random selection. And so truly, it's been there as the perfect gift from nature for us from the very beginning of time. And I remember going to the British Museum just once in my whole life. I didn't go to many museums, but once I did. And that was to take Jagdish Pai, because he wanted to see the British Museum. And of course, the British Museum has treasures that were taken, however they were taken, from all over the world, including Egypt. And there was a room called Egypt Room. And there were beautiful, beautiful statues that had been brought from Egypt. And the most noticeable thing about these statues were how accurate and chiseled almost, well, they were chiseled in sculpture, but their features were so regular. And yes, it's wonderful to have a variety of long faces, thin faces, narrow faces, broad faces, all of that. But the incredible beauty of the faces of the Egyptian statues, even in the Copper Age, And so go back and back and back to when nature is truly Satu Pradhan, and just imagine the amazing beauty of those people, nature and the people. And then, of course, within the whole subject of transformation, Baba also making us laugh. Baba loves laughing, but Baba makes us laugh too. And how Baba watches television, but not that television, but Baba watches the television of the Brahmin world. And Baba's amused when he sees, here are those people who call themselves world transformers and world benefactors, and yet they're not able to change themselves. And yet when they look at others, again, they say, well, how are we going to do anything about this? And for themselves, they say, you know, I didn't want to do this, but it sort of happened. I didn't want to say this, but it sort of slipped out. So we make mistakes and then we wonder what happened. But in fact, what happened was that we forgot. We forgot Baba, we forgot ourselves, we forgot our task. And so we slipped into that whole arena of many, many mistakes. But also, if we're supposed to be the world transformers, surely that is a very, very powerful thing to be doing. And so how come I can't change myself? Baba asked the question earlier about who's going to become kings and who wants to be in the number one stage. And I imagine everybody put up their hands. And so Baba had asked, well, who are you going to rule over? Because if all of you are going to become kings. And then Baba answered, you have to rule yourselves. You are ruling yourselves. And so that stage of being able to do what I need to do and want to do without any deflection away from the path of Srimad. And if something happens that's diverging from Srimad, then how weak am I? How strong am I? Questions to ask the self. And where it's so easy for us to give up and say, well, so-and-so's like this, and he'll always be like this. Baba had at one point said, well, it's like cursing them, that they'll always be like this. But no, have nothing but good wishes and pure feelings so that you see and it has no impact. You don't see. You hear and it has no trace of influence. You watch and you speak, but all of that that's going on, you see nothing but goodness, nothing but speciality. And I remembered a situation way back in the 70s, and there was one person who would speak to me and I'd give him a suggestion and then he'd go and do something else. And it kept happening once and twice and 3 times. And I'd gone to Dada the first time and she hadn't replied. She just listened. Second time, again, she'd done the same. And the third time I went to Dada and I said, Dada, I wonder whether I should tell you this because I don't think you want to do anything about it. But I told her. And then she said to me, I see that person in the way Sakar Baba would have seen them. And that person had been around in Sakar Baba's days. And so when she said that, I understood finally, after 3 times, that there's no point in telling her this thing, that thing, and the other thing, because she's not seeing it and she's not going to agree to it. She's seeing whatever is the highest and the special qualities of the soul that Baba would see. And of course, we also saw how Avyakt Dada, meeting anyone and everyone, Baba would not see their defects. Baba would only ever see their goodness. And so it's not, that's impossible what Baba's asking us to do. If we think about the Dadis and how they nurtured many, many of us practically in a very, very intimate way, by sharing with us, by encouraging us, inspiring us, empowering us, it was because they were seeing something that was good. and they wanted to support that good. They would not allow themselves to see anything else at all. And so as humans, the daddies, can I look at how they manage things and brought us this far, or even don't look at anybody else. If I look at myself, how did I receive constant support from the daddies? And if I think about that, my heart opens up and I say, yes, let me have that same feeling, that same bhavna, and nothing but good wishes for them so that they too are able to move forward. And Baba talking about Mickey Mouse. And again, every time Baba used to speak about Mickey Mouse, it'd be huge laughter through the hall. And Baba spoke about Mickey Mouse both in Om Shanti Bhavan as well as downstairs in Diamond Hall. And in India, I thought that maybe some people wouldn't know about Mickey Mouse, but everybody knew about Mickey Mouse and everybody just laughed and laughed. And of course, Baba was making it a simple joke, but very, very true. In a cartoon, you sometimes see this dog appearing, sometimes you see this lion appearing, and then sometimes they magically disappear. So all of these things happen within cartoon shows even today. Very sophisticated, very slick, fantastic animations, but basically cartoons. And so when Baba's watching us, and Baba's seeing the cartoon show that we are presenting, well, one is where we have funny moods and say wrong things and do wrong things. But again, Baba picked up on something that normally we'd say is part of life. If I'm discussing something, but Baba's point was maybe it's fine to share and dialogue and to come to a conclusion. But where I'm discussing, the word discussion comes from percussion. And so percussion is the loud noise with the drums and the cymbals and so on. So really loud noise. So if I'm in discussion, what's my face like? What am I saying? What is my tone like? And Baba called it waging war. When I want to prove that I am right, when I say that it has to be like this because I know best. Yes, I always knew that it wasn't right, but then to actually describe it as waging war gives it a whole different perspective. And Baba used that very strong language so that we would understand that it's not a deity sanskar to debate, to discuss, to argue, to try and prove I'm right. Definitely not in that category. So someone said something, let it go, let it go, let it go. Don't hang on to it and squeeze all the juice out of it by trying to prove that this is what it is, not this. And so that struck home very deeply, that it's something we normally would say is, it's okay, so what? I was just explaining, but no, it's a very different situation where one says and the other agrees, and ek ne kaha, dusre ne mana, dono ho gaye gyani. One has said, the other has agreed, and both have become gyanis, enlightened souls. So it's so important to not get stuck in my ideas or anything like that. And then when we're talking about forgetfulness, now the whole idea of forgetting who I am, and if there's the I and the mine involved, now who am I? We had an interesting little session in Iceland at the Spirit of Humanity retreat. And this time it was a very beautiful retreat setting, not a conference setting. So we had time to be with together and do process work rather than just lectures. And within that, one particular section was about, who are you? The other person replies. And then the first person says, well, who are you? And there's a reply. And the person again says, well, who are you? And so on and so on for 5 minutes. So you speak what's in your heart, and maybe you start off by your name, your profession, your work, your projects, etc. But and each person had 5 minutes, then the 5 minutes, then second time 5 minutes and 5 minutes, third time 5 minutes, 5 minutes. So if you keep trying to answer that question, who are you? 15 times, more than 15 times maybe, but for 15 minutes, what would you come up with? Surely you would come up to the fact that you are that being of light, that being of purity, love, truth. So it took everybody in a very deep way. And it was in pairs so that you could give each other drishti. And of course, these people weren't really being exposed to Raj Yoga meditation. They'd already had a few guided meditations by then, but no depth of explanation of this is Raj Yoga and how to do Raj Yoga. It wasn't that sort of setting. And yet when they asked this question, well, who are you? And looked into the eyes of the other, it would make the other person melt. And this is what they were feeding back and reporting to us, that it was a very moving experience to actually be able to look into the eyes of the other. And in most cultures, especially African and Asian cultures, it's considered disrespectful if the other person's older than you, has more authority than you, whatever. But you don't look at them in the eyes. You keep your eyes lowered. And here they found themselves, many of them, naturally looking into the eyes. And that also gave them amazing experiences. So you can experiment with a friend, or you can even do it for yourself. Who am I? And for 15 minutes, just reflect on the answers that come to you. Write them down if you wish, but it'll give you a deeper and deeper insight into who the soul really is. What is it that I carry within myself as the soul? And so this engagement with the self, who am I? Just try it. And it's very, very profound. You can see when Daddy would say, the first question is, who am I? And the first Om Shanti, she was actually talking about this. And so let me feel who I am. And so that was very, very beautiful and powerful. And then further, Baba just sharing that as world transformers, you have to give a gift to everyone. New Year, and it's time for gifts. And so 2 gifts that Baba wanted us to have. Never to speak badly of anyone. If you're practicing that concept of no, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, then of course, when your heart is clean, you've cleaned out everything else and there's nothing but cleanliness in that and good feelings, pure feelings for all, then you're wishing everyone nothing but the best, very sincerely from your heart. And so when Baba said these 2 things, just good wishes and pure feelings, give that as a gift. And the second part of it, also leave somebody with a gift. Whenever you meet them, whoever you meet, whatever context it is you're meeting them, make sure that you're able to give a gift. A gift means not money or things, but in this case, Baba meant your love, your joy, your powers, your virtues. That is the gift to give to every single one. And so it requires a good amount of preparation. It requires the cleansing of the self so that nothing of the past now remains. If I knew you pre-gyan, well, that was another birth. And if I've known you since coming to Baba, then again, every single day, am I seeing that which is good and not holding on to the past of whatever it is that was bad. In the world of Kali Yuga, where there's so much negativity, it's always easier to go with the majority, which is negative. But if I keep the aim of being an angel, and Baba reminded us that all of you are angels. And so let there be that remembrance, double remembrance Baba had mentioned, of who I am and who is the Supreme. Then in that awareness, yes, you'll be able to keep filling yourself. The reason why we're not able to give so much love, we're not able to give so much joy, is because we are depleted. I started the morning with Amrit Vela, with Baba's Murli, and so I was fresh. And so I was able to smile and give all of Baba's love to the whole gathering in the morning class. And then the students went home. The little bit of work that needed to happen is done. What then? Well, experiment with this idea of cleaning out the self and nothing but pure feelings and good wishes for each and every one. And the second, Baba wants us to be the embodiment of all virtues and all powers. And she's moving to a situation, this person, say, for example, I'm moving to a very new situation that I know nothing about, and I'm scared, I'm afraid, but just to prepare that place also with good wishes, good feelings, and to fill my stock so that it's never ever depleted, but Baba keeps giving and it gets fuller and fuller. And so I have that fullness in which it's not that at the end of the day, I don't want to see anybody because I'm exhausted and I'm tired and I'm a bit grumpy. But no, the soul has gone beyond. And so able to share with others continually something, so that they too can experience some benefit from being in touch with God's child. So a little bit of a different way to do the revision today. But these were some of the points that struck me very strongly. But of course, big time homework, very big homework. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Sister Jayanti. Yeah, I really loved the Murli. I thought there's a lot of mal. In English, we say substance. So just to take off on your last point. So, gentlemen, it's easy to give somebody something like a smile. It's easy to do that. But Baba said, even if that person is angry with you, you should take that as a form of love. I mean, how and what state do we need to be in? I think it's about us, isn't it? We have to be not expecting anything else. Anyway, I'll let you answer. It's something about when it's a really extreme situation, how to turn that around.
I have to be so conscious and not want anything from them. My expectation that they're going to be nice to me, they're going to be pleasant, they're going to be, etc., etc. That's going to really be shattered if that's what I hold. And so if I'm taking from Baba, I'm really filling myself every morning and through the day, keeping that connection and recharging, refilling, recycling. And the recycling is of my thoughts and how I see things. Baba talked about change of attitude and awareness and attitude. And so if my awareness is of I, the soul, Baba's child, and Baba's given me all that I need, then my attitude towards another is going to be one in which I'm there to give to them. And they approach me and they're angry. And it's not even something I've done, but two things. It could be that something has made them really distressed. But the other thing is that, well, this is their nature. This is how they are. And so I shouldn't be imposing my expectations on that situation. So with anyone, everyone, no expectation. And the second is, how quickly can I turn it around in terms of what it is they're saying? Firstly, I'm not blaming them, because there are triggers that have brought them to this point. I don't know what they are, but it could be anything. And whatever it is that's making them angry and say something, not to hold it against them. They're like this. Why are they like this? They've been in gyan X years. Why are they still behaving like this? You know how if it's somebody I love and they're angry, I make excuses for them. I say, but you know, they've had such a hard day or whatever. And so in my mind, turning the situation around means there's nothing I want from them and I'm supporting them. I'm not agreeing when somebody says, oh, they're so wrong, they shouldn't have done like this. Well, we don't know the circumstances that have brought them here. And so let me give them the benefit of the doubt and not point a finger of blame. Maybe it was something else, maybe it was someone else. So not going to go there. And the third thing is that if they're saying something to me in anger, can I find something that is actually true in what they're saying? Which means that I take it for myself to learn. Whatever they're saying is going to teach me how to deal with things in a better way. And so I'm not taking it personally in the sense that it's going to cause me tears and drain my energy even further. But I am putting it into the context that, well, I have something to learn here. And I have to make sure that I do that. So when I keep this learning attitude and also the sense of forgiveness, for giving, what am I giving? And when I'm learning to give them something, I'm expanding my heart so that, yes, I can forgive them. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Beautiful. Gentlemen, you did touch up on this needing to prove oneself, but I still feel it needs a little extra attention. And yeah, you've seen, right? You get so many letters of people trying to justify. What is it that the soul has not learned yet that they need to justify and prove themselves right?
At that moment, really, is this ego. Why aren't they understanding? Of course I'm right. They have to know that I am right. And basically it's, well, you are wrong. That's also part of this I am right story. And of course, Baba gave us a beautiful method. When I come back to the awareness of my own original stage of who I truly am, then in that stage, I see them also, if they're Brahmins, as an angel, and if they're not Brahmins, original state of purity, of goodness, which is also theirs. But to whatever my vision is for myself, that's the vision I'll have for others. And so if my vision of myself is connected with my role, oh, I am this, and this, a bit of lokik, a bit of alokik, but I'm very proud of my position. And so that's what's triggering me to say I am right. And basically I'm saying, well, you should listen to me because you're my junior. You have to listen. And so it's like it's a control mechanism that's at work. And ego wants to control. And soul consciousness will say, well, thank you, Baba, for the fortune you've given me. And can I send good wishes to other souls so that they too share this fortune? And Baba spoke about it, about how when you see another with those qualities of goodness that are there within the soul, then yes, you're supporting the movement of the cycle towards Satyug, because you're seeing the good and the goodness begins to emerge and flourish. So I see that if I can do that, see them as a soul with my own highest consciousness, then there's a very different attitude and feeling about everything. And Baba also mentioned this aspect of mine, or who is truly mine. No human soul can be mine. They can be mine for a short space of time, and maybe even in that, they're not really mine, my child. Well, how much time am I giving my child, and how much time is my child giving me? And out of the rest of the day, they'll be out. They'll be out at school, they'll be out with their friends, and I can't control them. So my point that Baba's saying, come back to the original I, but also the eternal mine, who is mine, and that is Baba and none other. No one can stay with me from beginning to the end. Just as impossible, but Baba's my eternal connection. The love is eternal. Baba is with me eternally.
So it's okay to see them as Mickey Mouse, right? Because Baba said, right?
No, see them as the angels, see them as that original shining star. It's me that's Mickey Mouse, not them.
Okay, so again, I'm going to be a little devil's advocate, but regarding this question where Baba's saying, can't you be world transformers? You know, you're the child of the world transformer. And gentlemen, the answer is no, we can't, I can't. And so my theory is that perhaps at the end, Baba is just going to have to make up the rest and just carry us away. Yeah, gentlemen, what are your thoughts on that? Are we really going to all make it to the end? Or is Baba then going to have to say, okay, guys, you can't do it. Let me help you. Let's hurry up and get going.
I think it's a combination, in the sense that all the experiences we've had up through till now, all of that is stored within us. And as the situations emerge, our own original thoughts and feelings and sanskars will emerge, because we've been studying all this for most of us for a very long time. And even if it's a short time, you're studying this and you're watching this because there's a commitment that, yes, this is what is right. And so I'm going to keep making my own efforts and to move forward, and with my attitude, support others. With my vision, be able to empower others. That's all I can do. So Baba's saying, change others, well, just modify it a little. And you know how when the Dadis would give drishti, our world would change. Things would look very different before the drishti and after the drishti. And so again, very human. You know the Dadis, they're all human. But we've seen how that magic of attitude and drishti works. And so can I step into that and do the same? So yes, I have to do what I can. And yes, the rest that left to Baba, Baba will wave a magic wand and everything will change dramatically.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, just to spend a moment on this sweetness and bitterness. So gentlemen, bitterness, as you've also mentioned a few times, hurt people. And we all have so much bitterness from, I think, not only this birth, but from many births where things have happened to us and it kind of just cascades into more and more sorrow and suffering or karma. So really the question is, Baba's saying that we love our old sanskars. And so in a sense, he's saying that we love the bitterness. Or we love suffering. That's what he's really saying. And my question is that, again, the bitterness versus the sweetness, is it a question of, forgetting what has happened? Because we can't always forget the trauma. a bit like one of the questions that was asked during the teachers' meeting. Is it that we go back and look and see what's the childhood trauma, or we just kind of put that behind us and look forward and keep looking at what's working?
I think if I look at the past and I learn lessons from the past so that today I can deal with the same situation without experiencing trauma, then this is the proof of my progress. Because whatever I'm seeing today, I'm going to be seeing things 1,000 worse in a short while. Things have already started to move and happen in a big way, but even more so. So what I need to do is to really make sure that I'm able to deal with that with Baba's love and Baba's light and Baba's power. And so I don't need to get stuck in the trauma of childhood or yesterday or 10 days ago. If I want, I'll hold on to it and it'll just keep coming up and keep giving me sorrow again and again. And it's like, raking the seed that you planted and uprooting it so that it never gets a chance to be still and go deeper and deeper and create that beautiful flower. And so for me also, if I keep going, digging up the things of the past, whether it's yesterday or 10 years ago, then that trauma that I'm putting myself through isn't going to help me move forward. Whereas Baba's gyan, Baba teaches me, I made a mistake, but today I'm studying Baba's knowledge, so I understand what the mistakes were and what steps I need to take to change things. And so I think that more it's a question of really taking what Baba's giving me now, which is love and light. Then as I take all these things and absorb all of this, then I'll see change happening within myself that I never anticipated before, but also I'll be getting that feedback from others around us.
Yeah, and it's not just this birth, is it, gentlemen? We always say maybe it's from this birth, but because we understand rebirth, it is a buildup of several births. So it's hard to go back. Yeah,
you might not be able to.
Yeah. Okay, we have a number of questions today. One question here was that there is a Brahmin who's been in Gyan 30 plus years. And so he or she cannot put the teachings into practice, particularly soul consciousness. What is the advice to give to this Brahmin, or how to support this Brahmin?
My suggestion would be, if I'm really sincere, and starting with soul consciousness is a wonderful thing to do, keep a chart every hour of soul consciousness. And it's only for you, it's not to show somebody else. So just jot down, I think back over the last hour, to what extent was there soul consciousness? To what extent was there body consciousness? And I didn't do anything wrong, but just that fact that I've wasted my time and energy in other things has depleted me of my own power. And so today, I make a decision. I'm going to move forward with God's power guiding me. And so, yes, if I do something, let me check. But let me check every hour. And of course, traffic control, again, is a system that most people find very useful. But in that 3-minute, 2-minute break, quick check inside, 5%, 50%, 75%, maybe more, who knows? But if it's 5%, that deep realization, well, what was I doing the rest of the time? Because soul consciousness is an effort, a conscious effort. And then lack of soul consciousness, the lazy way, is then consciousness of this. And so to keep checking and seeing what is it that's pulling me in terms of the things out there, and then it's much easier to deal with it.
Okay, thank you. Another question. When Sister Jayanti observes the Brahmin family, in what areas should we become more essenceful, mature?
I think the more we take responsibility for ourselves, the more Baba will help us. And then, like Baba has often said, Avyakt Dada often said, just write, I am okay, to your regional coordinator, your RC, maybe once every 3 months. I'm not suggesting more frequently because I don't want Didi Mohini or Didi Nirmala's post bag to become overfull. But if you're okay, then yes, service news is something else. But personal news is, Didi, I'm doing well, I'm fine. That's all it needs. And if things are not fine, then yes, you can write in detail and it'll then come whenever it comes. So, but yes, this is what I need to pay attention to.
And the question of maturity?
You learn from your experience. So I do believe that the Brahmin family has learned a huge amount from their experience. And Baba says the authority of experience. If I've been through something and I've come out the other side, now that's left me with a great knowledge and wisdom about that situation. Well, let me use that. And that is maturity. If you go through an experience and it's great at that moment, but then it's forgotten, it's not being very useful. But if I've done something and then I just revise it, whether in my mind or with others, but it means that I'm learning, I'm maturing.
Right, thank you. When people are not good to you, should you be assertive and just say, no, I don't like this behavior? Or should you just keep quiet and let them take advantage?
In a work situation, I think that sometimes there's a big demand and you can be assertive and say, look, I really need to complete this before taking on anything else. And this is the deadline I have for this. So I think it's relatively easy in that situation. It's more in the family situation and friends and circle outside. And yes, I think you can be more assertive. But of course, it takes a lot of clarity to know where I'm here as Baba's representative in any given situation. And whatever it is I do is going to impact the other, not just for me, but for the whole organization. And this is true for all of us. As soon as people know you're a BK, and whatever you say, you're representing the organization. Then if afterwards you say to them, but it was just me, it wasn't the organization, but you were speaking as a BK. And so that did leave that stamp, whether it's there in writing somewhere or not. And so I think that that remembrance that I am representing Baba, that's very, very important. And so when I'm being assertive, let me do it with gentleness, not an ego. And also let me be very clear in my mind why I'm saying no. So that for me also it's not a knee-jerk reaction that I'm too busy, I've got too much to do, I'm not interested. No. When things are calm and quiet, things are not at peak activity all the time. Even in the space of a day, there's always minutes here and there that you can use in a different way. So I would encourage that.
And just to add, Sister Jayanti, assertiveness, because we have passive, aggressive, and assertive. And assertive means to respect yourself and the other person. So that's what you mean when you say it.
And to be able to put boundaries where they're needed.
Okay, I know this question. Many people ask this question, and let's ask you today. It's in the chat. So, gentlemen, many teachers say that those who were close to Baba in lokik are going to be close to Baba in the golden age. Does that hold true?
Baba answered it today. Baba said, it doesn't mean that if you're far away physically, that you're going to be far away. But as I walk and talk and eat with Dada, then of course that closeness today is going to determine my closeness physically and relationship-wise to Baba. And so how present is Dada in my life now? If Dada is very distant, and I remember him, yes, at Amrit Vela or in the night, whatever, fixed timings, and Baba doesn't come to my mind through the day, then that's distant. But if I'm with Baba, talking to Baba, having communication with Baba, feeling Baba's presence, feeling Baba's power, that's closeness now, and it determines a closeness in the future. And that's what today Baba was saying.
Right.
So the question came at a very good time, when it's not just my thinking, but it's actually God's answer.
Right. Yeah. So, gentlemen, I'm going to ask you just to answer these briefly, because I want to do something before the end. Somebody's asking, can you just clarify when Baba talks about Dada, about Brahma Baba being Dada, grandfather? So Brahma Baba is the grandmother, grandfather, Dada. Could you just explain that briefly?
Shiv Baba, and the recent Murli has been very much Shiv Baba with one son, and then the son has the whole world as his children. And within that, the adopted children who are the Brahmins. And so that makes Shiv Baba my grandfather. And so the word Dada is also used for a senior brother. And so in terms of Shiv Baba, the parent, and all of us, God's children, then in that sense, Brahma Baba is the Dada, the senior brother, who's showing us the way and is supporting us and helping us at all times. And then, yes, Shiv Baba also says that Brahma Baba is my wife. And so the senior mother, the mother who gave us birth through the knowledge that was spoken through the lips. And so my senior mother, even more than Mama, Baba's been emphasizing that too, is Brahma Baba, because Brahma Baba is the one who also gave her birth. Yeah, those are the essential things.
Thanks. Yeah. When you say clean out your heart, could you give steps to achieving that?
First, accepting that I am holding things in my heart which are negative or wasteful about myself, about others. And so it's difficult even to accept this sometimes. I say, no, I don't think badly of anyone. I'm fine. But when I really look deep inside, then I see how I'm blaming myself for something, but I've made a mistake. Well, let me clarify it with Baba and take steps to transform it. And so firstly, just that acceptance that, yes, this is what I need to do. And then secondly, just to be able to see the goodness in myself and the goodness in others and say, okay, it's work in progress. I'm on a journey, they're on a journey. And so can I see the good that they're doing and simply focus on that? Otherwise, it's poison for me and it's going to be disturbing me and my relationship with God and with everybody else also. It's going to take away my happiness. So acceptance and then seeing virtues and dissolving the defects from my mind so that I don't see the defects. I'm able to hold on just to that good vision, the vision of virtues in that individual. And then very specifically, just holding good feelings for them and good intentions for them. I want them to move forward in their journey, and I'm going to support them in their journey forward. And maybe there's nothing physically I can do, but I can give them good wishes. And if I do that in a very conscious way, the relationship begins to change. And so it's something that you can do with lokik people. Sometimes there's somebody with whom there's a bit of friction at work, or even in lokik family, there's some friction or tension there, but also with Brahmins, so that if nature can be transformed with our love and good wishes, and we know that it can be, let me also help others go through that transformation.
Great. There's just one other question before I do something else. So this person is asking, when Baba said, know the past, present, future of every action. So I understand seeing an action in the present and future, but does seeing the past of an action mean knowing the motive for it? What does it mean to know the past of the action?
If my first thought is to really shout at you because you said something, what is the past? Was there a situation in which they reacted or I reacted? And so that film very quickly comes to mind if I go back to the past just for a moment. And I know that it didn't serve the right purpose if I did shout at them before. It didn't serve me because it created a lot of tension, etc., in my own body, and it wasn't helpful for the relationship. So knowing and learning from what happens in the past is benefit. If I'm just seeing the past and I'm seeing, yes, they said this before, so now I'm going to say this again, that's not useful. But play that scenario. What did they say? What did I say? And what was the impact of that? And do I want that same impact again? Is this why I'm reacting and thinking, I want to say this to them? But if the results are that there's still a problem, then that didn't work. So let me try a different way, Baba's way. And that is just to give them respect and to work on a different level.
That's really nice. Thank you. So yeah, gentlemen, today is World Environment Day. And so some of us were discussing that in the early days, Brahma Baba, Shiv Baba made the Dadis go through a period of the beggary part. Well, the drama did, let's say, but they didn't have enough to eat. They were already naturally fasting. And perhaps we Brahmins haven't been through that practice, not test, but practice. And so would you encourage, as part of kind of helping the environment, to, would you suggest that we fast from eating or doing things like that? What is your view on that?
Not even just very early days in Karachi, but even fairly recently, there would be some people in Madhuban who would fast on 2 levels every Monday. One would be abstention from food, and that's definitely giving this machine a break so that it has a chance just to recuperate. And so fasting 1 day a week is absolutely fine. It can be very beneficial, but also fasting in the mind. What is it that I'm feeding the soul? And so I know that you can't do it all the time in the same way, but there would be people who would observe this once a week at least. I know some people think that they have to just become breatharians and take all the energy from breath, from the air. But Baba never taught us that. And so if there's a human being who's saying, oh, become a breatharian, or is encouraging me or inspiring me to move in that direction, always check things with the Murli. What does Baba say? And if Baba has said something about this, and if you can't remember or you're not able to locate anything from the Murli, just think about, well, what is the benefit of this? And so definitely once a week is fine. But yes, if I'm living a life of seclusion, I can experiment for a few days without food. But that's not what Baba's saying. Baba's saying that look after your physical body, nourish it well, so that then it can serve you, and not just serve you today, but also serve you for however long the future is going to be there.
Yeah. Gentlemen, just very briefly, many years ago, I remember I'd seen this documentary, BBC documentary, on how they grow cocoa beans. And they actually kidnap children and put them in cocoa farms. And then one kid came running after the guys who were documenting, saying, I want to go home, I want to go home. Anyway, I explained this to you, I remember. And I said to you, you know, I want to eat chocolate, but I feel so guilty eating chocolate. And at that time you said to me, you said, only take from the planet that which you really need. And then you will be guilt-free. And I've always remembered that. I try, can't always say I succeed, but it's a good practice to only take from the planet what you really need, and then we're not in debt to the planet. So thank you so much, Sister Jayanti. We will live simply. Oh, the other punchline, gentlemen, that we didn't touch on, but I really liked was Baba said, no one becomes prosperous with gifts, but they become prosperous with love. I think that's a really good note to end
Very
on.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And everyone can give love. If you've taken Baba's love, you can give it.
Yeah. So thank you so much. So let's have meditation, and we will have Murli revision next week, which is 12th. It's not going to happen every week, but it is happening next week, and we will keep you informed of the future dates. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to everyone.
Do you have the sense that your life's no longer yours? That something else is living the life you thought was yours? Do you have the sense that your life's no longer yours? That something else is living the life you thought was yours? Something use you. Something is love. Something use you. Something is love. Do you have the sense that your life's no longer yours? That something else is living the life you thought was yours?